Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Off Rift podcast. I'm Mercury. I'm joined by Vestion. We had a bit of a break last week, and some storms are wrecking some parts of New Zealand, from what I hear. But we're back to our basically regularly scheduled time. Before we begin, as always, please consider rating us on Spotify, liking and sharing on YouTube and all the places you can find the podcast. And joining the Discord server. You can find it down here if you're watching the video. Otherwise, you can find it elsewhere online. To submit your burning questions and your hot takes to the answering machine. Past 2 weeks are done and dusted. We had some interesting results, to say the very least.
Yeah. I mean, I think all things considered, nothing overly surprising. Maybe the DCG Vikings series, I guess, would have been like the big question mark ultimately coming in, just largely because you didn't know the relative strength of MVK. But obviously looking good. But yeah, some exciting games, definitely. I think SHG have continued to look great, which is awesome to see, considering, what their 2025 looked like. DFM, let's say, looking much the same. CFO as well, looking much the same as they were in Split 1. So, I mean, ultimately, there's not really been that big of a shakeup. I think maybe just the MVK and sort of trying to find out their relative strength.
I will say, like, looking further into those games, DCG struggled quite a lot. Like, obviously, going 0-2, we sort of expected them to fall to Team Secret Wales. Game 1 was pretty atrocious, I will say, from them. They did not play, I think, that well at all. And then Game 2 happens, and then Pun locks in the ergot, and DCG's looking good. They're locked in for a little bit, and then they just got completely run over. They were getting caught all over the place. I think we can get into a little bit later with the struggles of this team, but I think Fung is definitely looking like probably the weakest link of this team. And that's saying something, considering how Pop9 played some of last split.
Yeah, I mean, he picked Israel. Like, I'm not even kidding, man. This champ has actually looked so god-awful this entire split. And it's just like, it continues to bewilder me, the positions in which we're picking this champ. Like, we are picking him in lanes we're losing. You know what I mean? Like, okay, man, like, what's the point in doing this? Like, actually, what's the point? I think overall now, Israel's like 2-4 over the course of this split, which is kind of only trumped by a 0-4 Azir and a 0-6 Seraphine. Actually, and a 1-5 Pantheon. But, like, there's some standout. These champs kind of look like they suck. I think Pantheon's not the same. I think it's just kind of the virtue of the team you expect to lose is picking the Pantheon, which does occasionally happen. But yeah, I don't know, man. I think there's a big problem with the drafting still occurring, at least in my purview in the LCP. I think that game 2 was somewhat to do with it, because the game goes to 40 minutes, right? One team has a Sivir, one team has an Israel. You've lost. Yeah. Like, it just is what it is.
I mean, you saw a bit of that bad drafting in the DFM CFO series. Sorry, DFM. I think it was the DFM CFO series with the Jin pick from Kaku, and I think he got one auto attack off in that fight around the dragon. But I think it was one auto attack, and then it was the W. It was I really don't know why we're picking these champions, especially when someone like Jinx or Caitlyn is available.
Yeah, I mean, there's just so many options, right? There's still like the Aphelios, it's still a good champ. You can pair it with Thresh if you're really that worried about sort of its safety. But like going Jhin Bard, right? Okay, like we have to win lane. We didn't win lane. So what the fuck was the point in this? Like you shoehorn yourself so hard into having to win lane. And when it doesn't happen, it's like you're so far behind. Even if the gold's completely even, you are behind. Because one team has a champ that does damage, and one team has like a supportive, hopefully they're low and I can execute them 80 carry. That's, I mean, theoretically good against squishy champs, but even then it's like, how much can you actually auto attack? I don't know. I'm so sick of seeing these champs. I think there are angles where you can pick them. I think particularly when like AP junglers are strong, it's like, okay, yeah, Jhin becomes a good champ. Right now, AP junglers aren't really being seen, so Jhin is not that good.
No, absolutely. And heading on to that second series on Saturday, we saw Garm. They took down MVK in that was a series for certain. Yeah. That was an interesting one to watch. Somehow at the very end of it all, Drakthar overcome the fraudulent allegations on that Shyvana and was just playing out of his damn mind to save that game. I would say over the course of this week, we've been talking a bit negatively to start things off, but the junglers have really, really been popping off. Histo was playing like an absolute demon in the DCG series.
Yeah, I think like the jungle role, especially the top end of our teams, is very strong. I do agree with that. I think Histo played amazingly well. I think Drakthar looked better than, you think back to the start of Split 1, he looked really good. I think he kind of looked like that again. The Shyvana game was like a possession from the spirit of Levi eventually. Eventually Levi came in and took over, and we got to see like classic Garm Shyvana, just with a different nameplate this time. But yeah, I guess virtue as well of Shyvana. She's kind of useless early game, but does scale very well, becomes really hard to kill very fast, and does a lot of damage. So it was good. Obviously found his CS and eventually got to a point of the game where he could actually impact it. He has good supporting champs like Orianna there to allow him as well. So I think ultimately playing it reasonably well. But yeah, I think that result to me really like puts a big question mark on the relative level of teams, because again, MVK beat DCG, and DCG, like, not much should have changed in reality. Like, you wouldn't think much should change between Split 1 and Split 2. Anyway, MVK beat them. Now Garma beat MVK, so have Garm actually found their form now? Are Garm going to actually look better? Because obviously we can maybe find out when they do versus DCG. But coming into last Split, we expected a good team. Turned out to be a pretty horrible team, ultimately, especially comparative to expectations. Now they're looking good again, so hopefully they can continue that.
Absolutely, and I mean, speaking of supportive champions, heading into Sunday's game, we started things off with GZ versus Hawks. Now, for the first game, I was busy casting Tor, but I believe you were involved casting that, or at least co-streaming.
Co-streaming, yeah. It's like the game one was super weird because like Jimmian was just getting smacked around a little bit. Like he was actually farming well, but like he was permanently low HP against Orianna, which is just virtue of the Orianna versus Ryze matchup. We looked for some ganks on the Ryze, on the Orianna rather, with Pantheon. Some of them worked out, some of them didn't. But there was this one moment in that game where we just burnt Orianna flash, and then it was a dragon fight after it. Yijang teleports down and gets a 2-man W into a wall, and that wall goes directly into the mid tower, and he doesn't pull the trigger on the Cassante ult. So if he just ults Arya there, we kill the Orianna, and the game is like the team fight is winnable. And eventually we ended up losing because every single 50-50 Dragon Smite we lost. And so they ended up getting Soul, and then our Ezreal couldn't do anything. Also, like, I love the boys, obviously. I'm a big fan of GZ, but again, we need to stop picking Ezreal, because not only I think is Ezreal a bad champion, I also think Shun's not good at it. I think Shun is just straight up not very good at that champ. Like, we watched a replay, and I saw him miss 5 Ezreal Qs in a row. It's like, okay, like, this isn't a team fight. Like, we can't be missing Ezreal Qs in team fights, because then you're, like, go from no damage to negative damage. And so I think, like, there's just a sort of a comedy of errors in that game one that led to us, what looked like we got blown out. It did look like that, but it was actually very, very close until that Dragon Soul did occur. So, again, that was a winnable game. Obviously, Evie a bit off form due to his sickness, which Yijang, again, I think even if Evie is feeling well, Yijang's going to win the lane, but it's always, like, Evie who comes into the team fights, plays the map a little bit better. But then game 2 was just atrocious. Like honestly, game 2, we'd won. And I actually do believe we were playing the map correctly. I think it is correct to not try and 5v5 against the Zeri Yuumi. I think it is correct to play the side lane in which Akali beats Mal and Na beats the Mal fight. But what was really unfortunate is we missed a 50-50 smite on 3 dragons in a row and 2 barons in a row. And so we got
to check the smite key on Hush's keyboard at this point, because that's when I started watching, and that was just, I didn't even know how to describe that game. It felt like a fever dream.
We win that game if any of those smites are ours. If we get the dragons, because we got 3 dragons.
Was it Chemtech Soul? Was it?
Yes, yeah.
Yeah, it was Chemtech Soul.
Shit other than for Yuumi.
Yeah,
for Yuumi is Giga OP, but like, it's just if we get any of those smites, we win the game. Any of them. So we had 5 opportunities to win, and we lost every single smite, and we lost the game from it. And it's like, it is 50-50s, because we don't have any champs that can actually keep Lee Sin out. So like, no matter what, Lee Sin's getting into the pit. Like, we cannot stop Lee Sin from getting into the pit. And so it is a 50-50, but we just lost it every time.
Yeah. I guess, I wanted to talk about it earlier, and I've sort of foreshadowed it I wanted to focus on DCG's struggles, right? Obviously, they're 0-2. One of those we sort of expected, right? We expected them to lose to Team Secret Wales, but the loss to DCG and the way that they've lost the past few games has really been worrying, especially with a red-hot Hawks looking to potentially take the second seed overall. It's getting a little bit dicey. Obviously, it's early days. You know, there's still a lot of championship points to be won, but I don't know if they can come back from, like, what ways can they come back from the defeats we've seen?
I mean, if you want me to be honest, I think one of the issues they're now facing is one of the advantages they had in Split 1 is their time together.
Yeah.
Right? They had an entire year together. They come into the split. They're the only team that has actually fully stayed together, right? Like, Team Secret Wales mostly did, which is, again, why I think they were succeeding so much. But other than that, it was only DCG, and I think they were benefiting from that. Now that we're in Split 2, we've had the sort of 2 months off almost in between the splits where we had the first stand and a little bit of it off time. I think every other team has now started to catch up in terms of that team cohesion, so they've lost that advantage. I think that's what the big thing is, because I think even last split, you could see their biggest weakness was macro play, right? Like they would all make the same decision 9 times out of 10, but it was like a questionable decision, but because they were all making it, it kind of would pay off sometimes. Now they're not going to get that sort of same level of, what is it? Like just edge, that they don't have the same edge over the other teams because the other teams have worked out how they want to play together. And I think that is sort of what they're struggling with now, is that edge they once had is now gone. So some of the mistakes Pop9 makes, for example, is now going more punished than it once was.
And I guess another one of those questions is looking at a team that hasn't spent a whole lot of time together compared to one that has. This new DFM roster, right? They've got Fisher in, they've got Woody. This is our first episode since we've seen them play to begin with. What do you make of how they've been playing so far? Because I think it's been a bit touch and go, but I think in that CFO series, Woody definitely played quite well.
Yeah. I mean, Woody's just a good individual player. I think they're always going to now have an issue with comms, because as far as I'm aware, Woody does not speak Korean or Japanese. I don't think, but I could be wrong. Like, obviously I don't actually know, but I imagine he probably doesn't. And so there's got to be some barrier to entry there, and the fact that Karkun probably only speaks Japanese and Woody probably doesn't speak Japanese, and as a bot lane duo, that's going to be hard to navigate. But ultimately, I think their relative strength is roughly the same. I don't think, as a team, they're going to have improved in any massive, meaningful way. I think individually, yes, I think Woody is better than Gang. I don't really know between Kane and Fisher, honestly. I don't think Fisher's done anything that particularly impresses me just yet, so obviously time will tell. And I think beating CFO in a game right now, like, those stocks for the first 2 weeks were extremely low. Like, it sort of was gimme games, it feels like. And obviously now with new news, it reflects that.
Yeah, speaking of said news, we heard it, I think yesterday, I forgot exactly when.
At night time sometime.
It was sometime yesterday. I remember seeing the news. We're seeing Pout and Kino promoted to the main roster. 2274 is moving back to Academy, but it looks like in the mid lane, Pout and Pungyon most likely will be like sharing stage time. We're not entirely certain of that yet, but I know that you're probably a bit relieved shouting from the rooftops at the news.
Yeah, look, I mean, first and foremost, I'm even over a GZ, I'm a PCS fan. Like, I've been working the PCS product for so long, so I want to see all the PCS teams do well. Like, I'm very, very passionate about that. I mean, all LCP teams ultimately, but obviously with a bias towards the PCS. But CFO going from last year to just being like awful was just really sad to see. You know, like they've had times in the past when I was doing the PCS where they didn't look that good, but it was never as bad as what it was looking like at the start of this year. And that's with players of the caliber of Doggo on their team, right? Like, it's not like they have slouches. Like, their AD carry is probably one of the best in the league, but they were just looking awful. And I think that is by virtue of 2274 not being an awful player necessarily, but just not being ready for the LCP. I think you saw that last year, right? Like, he's playing in the PCS last year, and he is running it down in some of those games. Like, he had games where he had 16 deaths as Nautilus. That's not a guy that's ready for tier 1. That's a guy that still needs some time in tier 2. And sure, maybe next year he's ready for tier 1. And like, if he comes back and he looks good, I'm not going to hate him for this year. But it's not like his fault he got called up. If you'd be stupid to say no. You know what I mean? So it's like, I think they just pulled the trigger on him too early. And I think part of that is sort of like looking with rose-tinted glasses at what happened with Hongq. I think they're like living in, this honeymoon phase of Hongq had just come out of the PCS or that LCP or the PCL, I think it was, and looked incredible. Could contest Faker, could contest Knight. It's like, okay, well, like that's an 18-year-old that's coming out and making big splash. Maybe we can do that with the other guy that's in our academy that looks reasonable. Wasn't the same. And we've realized that Kino, he's got a lot of veteracy. He's played professional league for years and years and years. He's going to be much more stable than having 2274, and I think that's what they need, because ultimately all they need to do is get Doggo to a point where he can carry, and he will deliver.
Well, they were former teammates as well on the Beyond Gaming days. They went to Worlds twice in a row. This is a bot lane duo that has that experience playing together that, we saw what Doggo could do on the international stage last year with a veteran support at his side. He looked like one of the best AD carries of the Swiss stage.
Yeah, absolutely. So their bot lane, I think issues are solved. I think their bot lane issues are gone. And obviously Doggo, I never really viewed as the issue. I just think, again, 2274 wasn't ready, and it really did just show in sort of his movements on the map and decision making. But Kino's not going to make those same mistakes because of that experience he has. Now, I do still think they have an issue in the mid lane. I don't think Pauter is an upgrade. I don't think Punyon's that good. And so I think, like, in the same way, I think GZ have an issue in the mid lane. I think Jimmy is kind of just getting dog walked by a lot of these mid laners that are really, really good. And I think much the same is probably going to happen to Pout and to Punyon both. Obviously, we already see it happening to Punyon. But I don't think Pout is a meaningful upgrade in that regard. I think it's just an option. And like, I look at how successful they were with being able to sub out top laners. Maybe they can try and replicate that in the mid lane.
Yeah, we'll have to see. I think like with that substitution as well, it worked so well because Driver and Rest really complemented each other's playstyles. But
exactly.
With Pout and Punyon, I don't really know if they have that same flexibility with each other.
I agree. I think mid lane, it's hard to. Like, when mid lane has a meta, it's like, okay, what is the meta right now? It's like, some games of Yone, your melees are pretty much either Silas or Akali, and then mages. So it's not that big of a stretch in terms of what you need to play, right? Like honestly, you don't even need to play Silas. If you play Akali and you can play mages, we're chilling. You those are the champs that are in meta right now. But you never know when that changes, right? Like, I mean, you look back 2 years, all of a sudden AP junglers get buffed, so you have to play AD mids. And it's like, okay, well, now we need someone that can play AD mids. And things can change, but I don't think there's any real need. It's not like top lane. It's not at all like top lane, but you could have someone that's really, really good at Ornn, Sion, the Cassante, Shen, these tanky champs that are really good at frontlining, good for macro play, and then someone that's really good at the Fioras, the Ambessa, Camille, like these more split pushing, play to carry champs. That doesn't really exist in the mid lane as League of Legends stands. It's kind of, your mid lane is going to be sort of a zoning tool more than anything, and your top laners can fill different roles. And I think that's where you're going to struggle between like trying to find as much success between your substitute mids.
I want to pose my big question to you. My big question for the week.
Do.
I mean, okay.
Right
on camera, you surprised me. I'll have to see. But what team or player has surprised you the most through the first 2 weeks?
Maybe MVK, I think, just in general. Like, obviously, it's a rookie squad. They won the VCS and they came in and they're winning a lot of their LCP games. They're looking good in the LCP. So it's like, okay, well, that is impressive, Again, like not to beat a dead horse, but like 2274 wasn't ready to come up, but these MVK guys seem like they certainly were. And it's really promising to see like young talent emerging from the VCS and still competing at a tier 1 level. So I think that's my answer.
Yeah, no, absolutely. That's fair enough. I think, like Harky's, like with MVK in the past, they've always sort of switched between multiple AD carries all the time, it seems. But now that it's solely on Harky,
all sorts of shit going on over there, man. They always have a 10-man roster every split.
I think at the moment they legitimately do have 10 people on their roster. I could be wrong. I think it might be 9. But
it's been the whole time, man. I
yeah,
don't get it. They don't.
he's
Yeah.
he's looked a
Anyway.
little bit shaky in some of these games, but that's to be expected from his first split in the LCP. But overall, I see a lot of promise in him coming further into this split. They are the second highest. They're third seed currently in standings. They're 3-3 in wins. Those wins, obviously we looked at last split where they were doing well initially and then they fell off later on. But their schedule ahead is pretty solid. They don't play Team Secret Wales until week 6, and then after that is Hawks. So there's a very real chance that they could make a run for playoffs, all things considered. And then there becomes the question of, well, who's going to be in that bottom 2 alongside probably DFM, right? Hawks is at the top. Team Secret Wales. Is it going to be CFO or GARM missing playoffs?
Yeah, I mean, I actually talked to Excel about pretty much this a couple days ago, and I said to him, it's like, I think currently as GZ stands, there's like the chance that CFO can improve, GARM can improve, and like if we don't get our act together, if we're dropping like these really Giga 1 games, we could find ourselves in the bottom 2. I think we have what it takes to be top 2, but we also have what it takes to be bottom 2. So I think. I agree with you. DFM are probably in that bottom 2. But who goes into that 7th slot, I think, is just impossible to guess. Because MVK could once again do their classic thing of looking good, looking absolutely god-awful, and then going straight down. CFO, who knows? Is this roster change actually going to meaningfully fix the issues they're facing? Because if not, then they could also be 7th. GARM, I feel a little bit more confident in. I feel a little. I don't think GARM are going to be coming in that 7th slot, to be honest. I think their skill floor is slightly too high to actually be viably in sort of that spot. So I don't really think it's them. But if I had to put 3 teams forward, I'd say it's either GZ, CFO, or MVK as that 7th seed.
I mean, Kia's been looking. He's been looking pretty solid. Like even in the loss to MVK, he was 4-1 on the Jace, something like that. He's been holding his own in some of these lanes. Obviously, it's only 5 games in, so it's impossible to say for certain. But I disrespect him a little bit last split after they did get eliminated. So I'm excited to see what he can bring to the table this time around. I guess heading into, we can look at week 3's schedule now and looking towards the future. We're going to start off Saturday with CFO DCG, followed by DFM MVK. So immediately one of the, I would say this is probably one of the most pivotal matches of the split, perhaps.
The CFO DCG?
Yeah.
I'd say so. Especially now with the roster swaps. I think we're really going to, it's a real litmus test to see if any meaningful changes do occur. Because I think DCG, as they stand current form, are somewhere in the middle of the pack. I don't think they're at the top right now. I think that's pretty comfortably Team Secret Wales and SHG. Especially when Evie is not sick. I think obviously they looked a little weaker against us, and we were just of good fortune that Evie was not well, and I obviously hope he gets better. But like, yeah, I think this is a good litmus test. If CFO win this, then it's like, okay, they're probably somewhere in the middle of the pack. They're probably not really going to be coming 7th that likely. But if they lose, then it's like, okay, well, like, what big of a difference did this roster swap actually make? Because again, Kino hasn't played competitive in like at least 5 months, if not 6. So he might be a bit rusty, like obviously he'd be playing scrims and whatnot, but you never know. He comes in first game in a long time. He's not necessarily coming in at his peak. Like I'd be very surprised if he did. So yeah, I think that's kind of the exciting part about it is more so for CFO finding out where they are, because I think for DCG, they're pretty middle of the pack.
We're going to have to call up Jimbo. We need to get him to lock in.
Oh, Jimbo.
That Akali game. Oh, there were so many moments where, especially that bot lane where like the Zonyas went off. If that was like half a second earlier, maybe they win that fight.
I mean, yeah. Again, it's just Smites, man. If we get any of those Smites, we win. Like, he got caught bot when we had Baron 2. Like, that was an absolute blunder. But ultimately, none of that mattered if we just got a Smite. Just one Smite. But we couldn't. So we lost.
It was so heartbreaking watching. Like, was it Yi Jung was on the Nexus towers? Like he was,
Yeah.
and they were all doing Baron. It's like, just stop the bases quick.
Yeah.
Like, buy him time. Oh man.
One thing I do actually wish in the games is like sometimes, obviously, it's going to be impossible because you're probably going to miss the action. But like, would be watching like this dragon dance, and we'd not actually get to see the progress being made by the Na.
Yeah.
Because one thing I'd be interested to see is like is Yi Jung actually playing? Yeah, is Yi Jung actually playing aggressive enough? Because I feel like Malphite can't do anything to him, and there was actually one moment where Malphite randomly altered him and he flashed away from it to not get knocked up, but no one was around, so it was like he could have just tanked the Malphite ult and walked off, but he used his flash, which is like a big tool as now. So yeah, I don't know. I kind of wish we could see the picture-in-picture to actually see like, okay, is Yi Jung actually pushing this side lane as much as he possibly could? Because that's like really important information that I really wish I could have seen.
Yeah. Speaking of Kino and all those players from before, no, we're pivoting back around, but the PCS is starting back up.
Yeah,
finally this week, we got some good news. PCS is back. We had in the first day we did have 2 FFs, so we only got to see 2 series played, but overall, it's good to see. I mean, like, the PCS is what, the longest standing, if you count LMS and all that. It's the longest standing Asia Pacific League, and so to finally have it back here for Split 2 is heartwarming, I will say.
Yeah. Yeah, it's had many iterations, different names, but it has ultimately remained largely the same. I mean, at one point it was like you'd have like Bangkok Titans and stuff involved in the LMS, so it was slightly different in terms of its scope. But yeah, I mean, it's a similar thing, and it is good to have it back because again, without it, you don't get to see developing talent. So, you know, we wouldn't have seen Hongq if there was no PCL, for example.
Yeah.
So it is good. It is good to have it back, and it's going to mean that there is hopefully anyway. Can continue to develop talent coming out of Taiwan, Hong Kong, Macau, etc.
Yeah, because I believe like 11-16 is going to be in the qualifiers, and then I think it's the top 5 teams from the Swiss round move on to that spring season. You've got, I think it's CFO Academy. You got Frank Esports playing. We're going to see YSKM soon. I am so excited to see him play in this meta. I think it is a travesty that he's not in the LCP, but I cannot wait to see his gameplay.
Oh, that brother's a bit of an inter. I don't think he would survive in the LCP. To be honest, like I watched him last year in the PCS, and that brother was sprinting it sometimes. He was sending it. I remember there was one game against DCG actually, where DCG just picked all 5 of his champs in game 1, and then he was just running it. It was like, what they have. I can't remember, but they had like a Camille support, an Ambessa, a Scion. They had a Fiora, and they won that game. By the way, they won that game with. They didn't have. Yeah, no, it's just. And then Frank were cooked for the next 2 games because YSKM's champ pool was gone.
Oh no.
Yeah.
Well, we've also got some other players in the PCS that I'm excited to see as well. We got Arzi coming back. He's going to be on Silly Gaming. Southwind, another one of those players that has been around the scene for a long time. I think like even before I started playing, he's been in like the LPL and all that. He's joining that roster. You got some big names. I believe that. So yeah, they've got, I think, 2 weeks of Swiss stage. And then I think the 27th is when the PCS proper starts. And then they begin that journey towards the promotion series later this year. So I'm excited what they can bring to the table, especially given, MVK Academy did well, but all of their roster is now on the main roster, so they won't have that same pool of talent heading in towards the summer split.
Yeah, it'd be interesting to see what they might not even put through an academy team to the VCS. To be honest, like their academy team is now just on the main roster, so there's no obligation to do so. And they might just do so anyway. A lot of these orgs are pretty good spirited and do care about the wellness of the base region, so they probably will, but it'll be interesting to see anyway. But ultimately, regardless, having these minor leagues is so important, and that's the biggest thing we miss out on here in OS. what is our chances of ever qualifying to the LCP again if we don't have a reason to compete? You know what I mean? Like there are communities are putting on tournaments. Like obviously myself and a bunch of others organizing tour. There's all sorts of different things. You're not organizing it. You're just casting it.
True.
God damn.
You guys do all the hard work. I just talk over the game. I just sit back and relax.
Yeah, but it's just like, like community are putting on tournaments, but it's like having that actual support from Riot or like just having Riot's brand on it to give a sense of legitimacy does add so much to, the people involved, like casters like yourself or players or whoever, like it's a sense of legitimacy that I think is really important. And, you get that over in the PCS, you get that in the VCS. Even a lot of the like, the Philippines League, the Thailand League, I don't know about those, but last year they had them anyway. So they're just important. It's important, and like it's something that I hope we get back in Oceania.
I just don't think we can. It's tough because like there's a lot of planning that goes into these circuits, of course, but like we really, and that's sort of the beauty of having tour this early in the year, is that we can start to practice in a competitive environment on this new meta. But over the, it's going to end in 2 weeks, right? Playoffs, the finals, I believe, is on the 26th. So then what happens after that, right? Is there just going to be a long drought of competition all the way up until OPQ? There's a lot of questions that we need to think about. And obviously, we'll be involved in whatever ways we can trying to get that built up. But like you mentioned, like having that official league, even if the viewership's not necessarily there or whatever, just like giving people a reason to scrim and like practice and play against each other consistently, that's ultimately what's going to build up the talent that we've seen before. Like we've sent people to the top 8 at MSI. Now, granted, that was a bit of a Mickey Mouse. It was an asterisk, right? We had a 3-person group and it was just the TCL we beat. But like even still, not the TCL. It was UOL that we beat. Yeah. Well, even still, that's that's a pretty solid accomplishment. I look back at Legacy in 2020. I look back at even the likes of Order that have done well in the past. Peace, who had a chance. There are teams that can pop off, players that can dominate internationally. But
bold of you to bring up Voldemort's name, by the way.
Who, Order?
Yeah.
Come on, the branding was kind of cool on that team. It was cool. Even though I'm not a Melbourne person, but I still liked it. I still liked supporting them.
I am not talking to my lawyers present.
Okay. We'll have to see. Yep. But anyway, all these teams that, did well, and the players as well, many of whom are still, playing, especially in the LCS, right, and doing pretty well in that regard. We don't get any of that without a tier 2 league.
Yeah, very true. We probably don't see anyone as nearly as successful as they are without a tier 2 league. Maybe Bar Faker, like he didn't come for a tier 2. He just came at the infancy of League of Legends in general. But like, anyone that's come through modern League of Legends got there because there was a tier 2 and they were found, or at least like 90% of the players, And so I think it is very important to have. And while of course we can do things like tour, it just isn't quite the same as having the right name on it.
That's why I'm liking what's happening in America with like the NACL, right? With all the collegiate stuff that's popping up as well. You've got people like Shynock, shout out to him. You got obviously Vivian with USC and Blue Otter and all that kind of stuff. Like you've got this like a heavy emphasis on that grassroots, on that collegiate scene that we've had in the past. We've had ODT, we've had obviously QUT runs their stuff, but like you mentioned, it sort of has to have that legitimacy behind it to draw eyes, to draw viewers, to draw sponsorship, really, to keep it sustainable.
Yeah, it's unfortunate that it's happening in America because those guys just stink anyway. So it's like, man, come on, like, come on. Half their best players are from OS. Like, what's with that?
Yeah.
What's with the hello?
Yeah, Isles, you got Fudge, you got FBI.
Yeah.
The new LCO over there.
Exactly. And of course, Big Docs.
Yeah, Big Docs. We count him.
Yeah,
I've got my Sin jersey around here. I rep it still.
Yeah,
bit too small for me, but
I don't know. Hopefully, it'll improve, and I think as the LCP grows, it's more likely to improve, and that's sort of what we're working on, I suppose. So, we'll get there.
Yeah, we absolutely will. We got lots of stuff on the horizon. That is for sure. I mean, you can probably see behind me. I got the suitcase here, and
True.
I tweeted about it yesterday. But I'm going to be on the ground in Taiwan for the finals. I'm quite excited about it. I haven't been international. I haven't been outside the country since 2017, since my birthday 2016 or just after, because I was part of the band and we did like a tour, a music tour in Singapore.
That one time at band camp, huh?
Yeah. But no, I'm excited. I mean, obviously you've been to Taiwan more recently than me, but yeah, I've never been. I don't know what to expect.
There's like car crushing chickens. Expect those.
Yeah. I've seen the signs.
Chickens that crush cars. That's scary things. Those. No, but Taiwan's sick, man. You gotta do a night market and you gotta try Taiwanese chicken. I've not tried it, but the one that Evie always posts about. Try that one, and then
I'll have to hit him up once I'm there.
I saw Daddies. I think it's called Fat Daddies.
Interesting.
I'm pretty sure.
I saw Mr. Steak replied to my thing on Threads, and he was like, "Welcome, brother." And I'm like, "Hell yeah! I got the sign of approval. I'm all ready to go. This is gonna be amazing."
Oh, Mr. Steak, he's such a legend. But yeah, no, it's exciting, man. You'll enjoy it. I can guarantee you. It's a really nice place.
We'll have to get you out there sometime. Once
I'm broke.
Yeah. Once we figure out how to fix
just say so.
The New Zealand economy. Once we figure out that, we'll be all good to go, I reckon.
There's no figuring it out, man. It's so cursed.
Yeah. Oh, well. We got lots of stuff ahead of us. We're probably gonna end off. It's a bit of a shorter episode this time around. We've sort of covered most of the topics that have happened so far. Were there any other topics that we didn't get to that you wanted to talk about?
No, just make sure you follow Off the Rift on all the platforms that you made accounts for, mostly.
Any players on Fraud Watch now that 2274 is gone?
Fraud Watch. Maybe Hoosia's Smite key.
But yeah.
Hey, just being honest.
We'll have to investigate.
That guy lost me a series.
Hey,
that's his Smite key.
Yeah.
I want to reiterate, I don't actually necessarily blame him. It's just like, it's just fucking unlucky that we lost so many Smites in a row. When it is just 50-50s every time. It's just like,
it's crazy.
Also crazy to me that Seraphine's 0-6, by the way. I think that champ's absurd, but
it was disappointing. Well, at least he's up against Drakthar next week, so we'll have to see if that was a blip.
Actually.
We'll have to see if it is a blip or if he can actually make a bit of redemption, Hoosha, for you and save your sanity on the broadcast.
Yeah, and I will be messaging Skywalk about this Israel champ. Don't you fucking worry. I cannot do it to myself.
You've been saying that for a split and 2 weeks at this point.
No, I'm saying it now. I have to go off at this point. We see Skada, we looked at Israel. Hello, who's killing Skada?
We're not picking Ribbon. We're not. Bro,
Korkinami was right there. Korkinami was available, up and available.
We're not picking Azir for Jimmy, and we haven't figured that out yet.
We've banned Bard and we've banned Azir. It's time we ban Israel too.
Yeah, we'll have to.
Olaf, I think, should be banned too. So that's 4 of our players with a self-banned champ. I can't be having you on Olaf after that game against Evie.
Just sticky tape over the screen where the champion is in.
Yep. Self-imposed bans. They have to happen sometimes.
Yeah. Hey, look, if Shousi can still do well even in the losses on these champions and the Blitzcrank and all that kind of stuff, these other supports can as well. I hope Kino coming in. Kino's he's sort of an engaged player for the most part,
everything.
Right?
He plays everything.
That's good. Yeah. That's good. I'm excited to see him.
Yeah.
I haven't seen him since Worlds on Beyond Gaming.
I saw him in 2024, I think 2023. I don't remember. Yeah. That's too many years ago now, man. I can't remember what I had for breakfast this morning. Nothing. I don't have anything.
it's flying on by at this point, but
it does, man.
We've still got a few more days until the LCP picks back up. We'll try and get the podcast uploaded if my internet wants to cooperate. We'll get that up tomorrow. But thank you all for tuning in. I promised to do one outro this time, and that is it. So we're gonna sign off here. I know that's my resolution for this this split. One outro. We're done. We're dusted. Thank you all for watching. We'll see you next week.